what we're going to do today. So today you're going to learn from an expert in the field of coaching and personal development, and especially coaching and personal development for business. And the audience can be like CEOs, managers, directors, people with ambition, people who love tech, HR managers, HR advisors, business consultants, trainers, coaches, psychologists, health insurance companies, entrepreneurs, mission-driven people, and high achievers. So this is our target audience, but we also like all the people who are here who are not part of that group. Anyway, so first I'd like to introduce you to Cindy. Cindy is in the corner here on my right-hand side, and she is one of our technical service. She's the moderator of the session, and she will always keep these sessions very good so that there's smooth running and technical issues are not there. And especially here, also in the middle, you see Jason. He cannot speak. Jason is recording this session, and we're always very happy to have him so we can always see our talks back, because we like to also share this on social media. So my name is Dana Maria Vaneke. I've been sailing around the world on big traditional sailing vessels, first as a crew member and later as a captain. And now I help people to become the captains of their lives, and virtual reality is the most powerful tool to help me with my mission. That's why I founded a company called CaptainVR. And the mission of CaptainVR is to develop immersive VR coaching and personal development experiences to boost people so they can practice, learn, and develop in a safe, fun, and interactive environment. By developing experience in which people are confronted with situations that cause stress or fear, or by confronting people with their goals and dreams, people are given the opportunity to take control over their lives so they can become the captains of their lives and realize their full potential. And this is our mission. And we also educate people on how to use this technology. So thank you so much for being here. That's why we do these weekly events. And also I would like to first, of course, that's why you're all here, to introduce Todd Lewis. And Todd is our regular speaker. He's coming every month, and he has educated small business owners and artists all over the world for the past 20 years in the areas of goal setting and time management and motivation and positive thinking. And he's also has been or is an award-winning filmmaker, filmmaker.
Yep.
And a composer and an actor. So he's been everywhere and doing everything, and he's such a great speaker. So I'm really happy to have him. So please give him a big hand, Todd Lewis.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's great to have you all here, and thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dana. Appreciate that, and thank you again for having me today. I'm always excited to get to be in here live, in VR. I mean, it's not quite, it's not exactly the same as being in the same space together, but it surprisingly feels like we're in the same room together. Even though I'm looking at all of your avatars, I feel like we're in the same space at the same time, and that's a really unique thing when it comes to education these days. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here today, and I promise I'm going to make the next, 45 or 50 minutes or so very worth your time. I know that there are a lot of things you could be doing right now, but you chose to be here right in this moment. And I want to make sure that I give you good reasons for being here. So I thank you for being here. And we will take some periodic questions as we go through the program. I'll take little breaks here and there to see if there are any questions or anything like that. And I'll turn it over to Dana when we do that. And you'll be able to raise your hand if you have a question. Dana will mute you, and you can let me know what your questions are. And please remember, there are no stupid questions. Any question that you have, please feel free to ask it. That's what I'm here for, and that's what's great about us being kind of in the same room together, for this program today. Now, up on the screen there, you can see a question that you should be asking yourself right now, which is, who is Todd and why should I listen to him? Because really these days, anyone can profess to be an expert in any area. And we have to be very careful who we listen to and who we take advice from. So just a couple of really quick things about me and how it applies to what we're talking about today. which is how to avoid procrastination, is first of all, I've been working as a business and life coach for over 25 years now. It's really kind of hard for me to wrap my head around that it's been that long. It does not feel like it. I'm a student of the human mind and all that goes into making it work at peak efficiency. That's one of my biggest areas of interest, is how the human brain works, how it works in conjunction with the way we feel on a moment-to-moment basis, and how to do our best to take as much control over that process as we can. Now, by no means do we have control over everything. There are a lot of things that happen in a moment-to-moment basis that we don't have control over. But what we always do have control over, to a much greater degree than we think, is how we respond to what happens. And that's one of the areas that I've been most fascinated in, and we're going to be talking about a bit today when we talk about procrastination. My principles and teachings have helped over 2,000 people and businesses over the last 10 years from all over the globe through consulting, virtual classes, things like that. And I'm all about systems that are proven to work. I'm not going to get up here and teach things that I have not, at the very least, proven to work for myself by testing it, studying it, using it on myself, and keeping track of the results. But then also everything I'm going to be talking about today, I have helped other people to implement as well, and they've seen wonderful results from these things as well. I'm not going to waste your time up here giving you theory and saying, well, maybe if you try this, maybe this will work. I'm going to give you the things that have been proven to work for me and work for the people that I have passed this information on to over the years. Now, let's make sure we're all on the same page here by what we mean by procrastination. Now, the very basic definition of procrastination is very simple. It's just putting off something that you know should be done right now. That's the basic concept of procrastination. Hey, there's this thing. I know I should probably be doing this now, but I can put it off. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes. I'll do it the next day. And then I'll do it next week. Right? We've all been there. I've done it. I've procrastinated things as recently as this, a couple days ago. We all do this on a regular basis. What today is about is mitigating that and making sure that we're not doing it more than we should, and certainly not doing it to a degree to where things become so important that they get done right this second because we procrastinated on them so long that they have become what we call a fire, right? It's a fire that has to be put out. It's so urgent. We want to make it so we get to a point where we don't have fires come up in our lives very often, because it's when those come up that we get really stressed, right? I'm seeing heads nodding out there. I can tell the people that are in actual virtual reality because I can see their heads doing this. I love it. I love it. So, yep, exactly. So we're all on the same page of what procrastination is. And believe me, we all do it. Now, why do we procrastinate? Well, there's a number of reasons, but I listed my top 4 here, which are the main reasons that people tend to procrastinate and not do things in their lives when they should. Number 1, and this is in no particular order, but number 1 is they're not clear on the deadlines. We're not clear on when this really needs or should be done. We just have a vague deadline. Hey, I should get this done sometime in the next year, or I should probably do this sometime this week, right? So the clearer we can be on deadlines, the more effective we're going to be at mitigating procrastination and making sure that we're getting things done on time. Number 2 is that we oftentimes don't want to do the things that need to be done. Now, if I had to pick for myself which of these is probably number 1 for me, it's probably that one. It's probably number 2. Don't want to do the things that need to be done. Now, every day of our lives, we have to do certain things that maybe in that particular moment we don't want to do, but it's important for our career, for our job, for our relationships in our lives, for whatever it is that we do it. And so one of the easiest reasons that I will push things off is say, well, I don't feel like doing that today. Okay, so for me, I'm in the United States, and May 17th this year is tax day, where we have to have our taxes done, okay? Now, I'm the type of person that I tend to procrastinate doing my taxes because I always end up owing money. So, it's a little more fun to do your taxes when you know you're going to get some money back. I always end up owing money. So I always end up putting it off. So I'm looking at, and I looked at it this morning as I was prepping my day, and I saw, oh, May 17th is coming up. I got to have my taxes done by then. I am not going to procrastinate and wait until the day before the 17th and get them done then, which is what I've done in years past. And that always causes me huge stress. So I put it on my calendar to do my taxes this coming Monday. And that's the day. I'm just blocking it off. I'm going to make my taxes my number one thing. But it's something I'm not looking forward to doing by any means, but it's something I know I have to do. Welcome to the rest of you that just joined in. I appreciate you being here. You haven't missed anything major yet. We're talking about how to avoid procrastination, and we will open it up to questions as we go as well. The number 3 reason why we procrastinate is that we don't believe the deadline needs to be met. We question it, right? We might look at it and go, well, I know I said that I kind of need to get this done today, but does it really? I mean, is it going to be the end of the world if I don't do it today? Nah, I can put it off, right? So there's really the number one thing to remember today is that when it boils down to is there is only one person in the world that can make sure you don't procrastinate, and that is you. That's really what it boils down to, is you're the only one that can make sure that you don't procrastinate. But by knowing these reasons of why we tend to procrastinate, it will help you to realize when it's happening. And when you say something like, well, does this really need to be done today? Oh, shoot, Todd mentioned that. He mentioned that we tend to do that. And maybe, you know what, I shouldn't do that. I'm gonna work on this today. Whether I even get it completely done today or not, I'm definitely going to do some work on it today. And then the number 4 reason why we procrastinate is that we're not very good at self-imposed deadlines. Let's put this in context of having a quote-unquote job, okay? If you have a job where you work for someone else, okay, where you are not your own boss, you go into work, you got a list of things that you need to get done that either your boss or your manager or whoever it is gave you that need to be done. Well, you're going to get those things done because they've got deadlines and your job is on the line. So somebody else is kind of imposing those deadlines on you a lot of the time, and you have that kind of accountability. Well, if you are a self entrepreneur, a self business owner, a self-made business person, and you run your own business, you kind of run your day to day. Well, guess who's your boss? You are. You're the one that has to determine when these deadlines are and how important these deadlines are. And then you've got to force yourself to stick to those. And that's just talking in terms of business. That's just talking in terms of your life. In business, but your life is so much more than just your business, right? You have to have these deadlines and so forth for your relationships, for your recreation, for the other things that are important in your life as well. Okay, so those are kind of the main reasons we procrastinate. But now let's start getting into how we avoid the procrastination, knowing those 4 major reasons why we procrastinate. Now, before we move on to the want versus must principle, I want to take just a moment. I'm going to go back actually a slide because I want to see if there are any of you that are looking at those 4 things and going, well, I thought of another reason that I procrastinate or that people might procrastinate. So if you thought of something that's not on this list, feel free to raise your hand with the little raise hand button in alt space, and we will unmute you if you thought of anything that's not in those top 4 right there that you want us to talk about. And if not, we'll just carry on. Anyone got something that I might have missed?
Yeah, we had one raise hand button, but that one was from the start by accident, I think, and now it's gone. So I'm not sure if you pushed again and thinking that you raised your hand now, or else you have to push again. Yes. Okay, let me see. It's Sinorak or Graham? Graham?
Nice.
Feel free to talk.
Hello, Graham.
Hiya, can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I sometimes, and this is maybe not very productive of me, but I sometimes find to procrastinate makes me more creative. If I've got a deadline coming right, coming at me at great speed, it often makes me more creative because my mind's working a bit quicker. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does make sense, and that's a wonderful point, Graham, is that I'm also I do some graphic design work. I'm a writer. I do a number of creative projects and creative pastimes. And I know exactly what you're talking about. And part of what that is, Graham, is it is a deadline that is just a much more solid deadline. So my question to you is this: if you self-imposed deadlines that got you to a point where you did not feel like you were kind of waiting till the last minute and there was that sense of urgency that was coming from this solid deadline, and you gave that deadline that you gave it the same amount of weight that you stopped thinking, well, technically this doesn't have to be done until next week. But no, you know what? I made the deadline. I'm going to work on this today, and I'm going to have this first draft done today. I'm going to do it today with that same sense of urgency. I think you'll see that you find yourself getting more things done quicker and without that feeling of urgency. But I will say there is something to be said for a solid deadline that is coming right up, forcing creativity to happen. Because we know in the back of our subconscious, right? We know I can't have writer's block right now in my case, or I can't have creator's block. I can't. This has to be done today, or this has to be done by tomorrow. So it's amazing how quickly we get things done. So what that says to me is, ask yourself when you have a deadline in front of you, and it does not feel urgent enough to you, ask yourself why it doesn't feel urgent enough. And is it because you're really just looking for an excuse maybe not to work on that thing right now, so you're going to wait until that last second? But there are those times when that solid deadline, that brick wall that is looming, that's coming closer and closer, and you know the only way you're going to break through that is to get this thing done. It's amazing what you can get done when you have those kind of deadlines. Now what I'm looking for is for each of you to be able to impose some of those deadlines upon yourself and follow through with them so that you don't feel as stressed, or you don't have to give up other things. That's the other thing that can happen, right? When we have that kind of deadline, we might go, well, I know what I'm doing for the next 24 hours. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to have any fun. I'm not going to hang out with friends. I'm not going to see my family because I have to spend the whole 24 hours to get this thing done because tomorrow's the deadline, right? So that's what we kind of want to avoid so that we have that important balance in our lives. Great point. I'm very glad you brought that up. Okay,
you.
We'll get to you bet. Thank you. We'll get to some more questions here. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah,
Dana.
we have another question. Do you want it to wait?
No, let's go ahead and take that now. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun again. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I think it was an accident that someone pushed the button.
Oh, okay. No worries. We'll move on. And if anyone else has questions, just go ahead and raise your hand at any time. And when we get to the next question section,
again.
we'll. Oh, good. Okay. Let's do that.
Lucas, please feel free to talk.
All right. Everyone hear me?
Yes. How are you, Lucas?
Okay. First of all, I'm not fluent in English, so my bad. I want to add the last panel that you showed. Yeah, the number 4. This has happened to me, and when you say it, I clearly see myself, because this year, in the beginning of this year, I start my company. So now I am my boss, and this is going to happen. I have to do things, and when I'm working for someone, deadline is very important. And if I have to do it, I not sleep, I not eat, I not see anyone. I don't go to my home without finishing. But now I am my own boss, and I say, don't worry, I do this tomorrow. So
sure,
it's exactly that. I just want to add this, my experience. This.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think we've all been through that. It is so hard. We give ourselves a lot more slack, right, than anyone else will. If there is anybody else that is expecting us to have this thing done by this time, we get it done, don't we? We're responsible people. And it's really interesting to me, the psychology of the fact that we will tend to be more kind, more respectful, more responsible to other people than we will to ourselves a lot of the time. And so I think this is going to be a bit of an exercise of, you know what, give yourself the same level of respect and so forth that you would other people, and know that, and stop giving yourself as much permission to not get these things done on time, because a boss wouldn't do that, would they? If you're working for somebody else, a boss is not going to give you much slack. They may occasionally, but they're going to crack down and say, why are you not getting these things done? We're going to dock your pay. You're going to get bumped down. You're going to get demoted, whatever it is. So we have to get to a point where we kind of do that for ourselves too and go, you know what? I'm saying this to myself. I'm having this conversation with myself. Todd, you're not getting this stuff done on time. Why are you not getting it done on time? Well, I figured you didn't need to have it done today. You know, we can wait, right? No, we can't. This needs to be done now. It's important to me. You know, we have to kind of become our own boss in that way and treat it the same way with the same respect that we would an actual boss who is another person. So it does come down to how we treat ourselves. And I'm so glad you brought that point up, Lucas. That's a great point. So we've all been through that. So let's talk. Any other hands raised at the moment, Dana?
No raised hands.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on now.
Sorry.
Oh,
just
yep,
came back. Sorry.
Okay. Sure.
He took it back. It was
okay, no
someone
problem.
who took it back, probably.
Well, we'll open it back up here in just a couple minutes for some more questions and comments. But let's talk about the want versus must principle. And this feeds a little bit into what we've already been talking about. Without conscious effort or outside influence, we tend to do things that we want to do rather than the things that we know need to be done. Now, that is human nature. Marketers all over the world, marketers and salespeople, right, all over the world have known this principle and had it drilled into their heads for centuries, that people are going to do what they want more often than doing what they need. People are driven much more by what they want from moment to moment than what they actually need. That is why you see people, I mean, I'm not casting any aspersions or passing any judgment, but that's oftentimes why you see people who are smokers, right? Even in this day and age, when, as a general rule, we all kind of know that smoking is probably bad for us, and yet there are people that still do it because it makes them feel good inside in some other way. And that want and that desire is much stronger sometimes than the need to know I probably shouldn't be smoking. Or, you know, eating, drinking, you know, any things that we can have an addiction to in some way, either physically or mentally, those are driven by wants oftentimes more than needs. And then oftentimes as that continues, it becomes more of a need because those addictive things become addictive physically as well, and now it becomes a need, right? So the more we can realize that we need to focus and have a good balance in our lives of doing the things that we want to do each day and doing the things we know we need to do. And what this really comes down to is an important principle, which is everything we do in our lives, we do for one of two reasons. I can't do two on my hand. I can only do one for some reason. One of two. There we go. We'll just the thumb and forefinger. Two things. Everything we do in our lives is because of one of two things. It's either to avoid pain or gain pleasure. That's it. Every single decision we make on a moment-to-moment basis. And this does not make us selfish. Okay, I mean, even when we do something selfless, like I'm doing this thing to help this person out, we are partially at least doing that because that makes us feel good, right? It makes me feel good to do something that's helping someone else. And so that is gaining pleasure, okay? But when we know that every decision we make is either to avoid pain or gain pleasure, then one of the best things we can do for procrastination is to think, okay, let me put myself in the position of being a week from now, and I have not gotten this thing done that I'm saying I should do today. How am I going to feel a week from now? Am I going to feel pleasure or am I going to feel pain by not getting this thing done? So the more we can focus on the pain that we will feel by not doing this thing now, by letting it become so urgent that it becomes a fire and it consumes our entire lives, if I focus more on that pain I will feel by not doing it, then we may go, you know what? I'm going to feel better if I do this now than if I wait and push it off and it becomes a fire a week from now. Okay, so always remember that pain versus pleasure principle, which is an extension of the want versus much principle as well. All right, so best ways to combat procrastination. Number one, don't let things become a fire. It's so easy for us to do. If you can put it off one more day, we're going to do that until it becomes a fire. So always, that does mean that we have to look ahead, don't we? The best way to avoid something catching on fire is what? To look at it ahead of time and go, is there something here that's going to cause this sofa to catch on fire? Is there a cigarette butt sitting on it? Is there a lighter underneath it that could get, is there an electrical cord that has a short? You know, if we take a moment to look at that sofa and make sure it won't catch on fire, it may save us having to put that fire out at much greater expense later on down the line. Number 2 is proper planning. One of my favorite phrases is, if you fail, what is it? Oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. There we go. If you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. Because guess what? If you don't plan out your day, if you don't plan out your schedule, then life is going to plan it out for you. And believe me, life, quote unquote, may not have the same goals, wants, and desires that you have for you. So the more you can plan out your day and plan out your week even, and look ahead of schedule. Don't just look at what you have to do today, but also be giving a little bit of look at, hey, what's coming up next week? Oh my gosh, I got this big meeting next week I haven't prepared for. I probably had better do that. You know, at least start thinking about that today or tomorrow so that it doesn't become a fire. So proper planning is so important. Which also comes down to a clear things to do list with deadlines. Part of my planning every day is to look at my ever-growing things to do list and make sure that I'm not missing things that are coming up that have deadlines, so that they don't come up and surprise me. That's another reason that we procrastinate, is sometimes we forgot this deadline was coming because we haven't been looking far enough in advance, and then all of a sudden we look at our calendar and go, oh no, I have this thing tomorrow. I haven't prepared at all for that. Oh my gosh. So there are times when we procrastinate by accident, right? Because we just have not been paying close enough attention to what's coming up down the line. So when you make sure that every day you are starting off your day by building a nice, clear things to do list with deadlines on it and looking at the things that are coming up a week, a month ahead of time, then you're going to get caught by surprise much less. And then number 4 is to make sure that you honor the deadlines that you've set for yourself and get out of the habit of pushing them back. Now, this is the hardest part. Admittedly, this is the hardest part, because again, no one else can do this for you, with some slight exceptions, and we're going to get to that with number 5, okay? But you are the only one that can make sure that you're giving these deadlines the weight that they deserve, as we've talked about. So we have to constantly ask ourselves, why do I keep pushing this off? And there will be some times when you might ask yourself that question, why do I keep pushing this thing off? Why am I not doing this? Sometimes the answer to that question might be, this thing's not as important to me anymore. Okay, and if that's the case, then you should ask yourself, should I even be doing this? Maybe this is just something I should scratch off my list and not even do. Because sometimes, things in our lives shift as new goals present themselves, as new opportunities present themselves. Things that we thought were important to us at one point may become less important as we go forward. So ask yourself that question too. Boy, I've put this off and put this off and put this off. Is this still important to me? Or is this still important to somebody else who I'm responsible for? Okay. Which brings us to number 5, which is outside accountability. Now, if you really have struggles with procrastination, and you have struggles with number 4 of honoring your own deadlines and making sure that you're getting them done on time, then it might be time for you to look and say, hey, is there someone in my life who I can tell them, hey, these deadlines are important to me, and I would love for you to be an accountability person for me. I want you to know that I'm going to get these things done, and I'm going to get this thing done on this day, this thing done on this day, and this thing done on this day. And I want you to check in with me and make sure that I'm getting them done. Now, these don't have to be life coaches. They don't have to be a psychologist. They don't have to be a professional. This can just be somebody in your life that you trust, somebody a friend, a family member. Now, it has to be somebody that you do trust, and somebody that you trust will do this for you. Okay, but ask somebody to be there as accountability, because when you tell someone you're going to do something, you're much more likely to get it done, because they're going to check in and go, hey, Todd, did you do this thing? You said you wanted me to check in. You wanted me to give you a hard time if you didn't get it. No, I got it done. I knew you were going to be emailing me today and checking in. I got it done, and I feel really good about that. Okay, and that helps to build the muscle, the habit, if you will, of of curtailing your procrastination, getting things done on time. Because as you do that with some outside accountability for a while, you're going to form the habit of knowing, hey, when I set this deadline is solid, and it's solid for me. I don't need that outside accountability any longer. All right. So let's pause there for a moment and see if there are any questions or comments on any of these 5 things. Again, number 1, don't let things become fires. Number 2, proper planning. Number 3, a clear things to do list with deadlines. Number 4, honor those deadlines and yourself, and get out of the habit of pushing them back. And then number 5, get some outside accountability whenever possible.
Yeah,
right,
we have a question or some
yes.
ad. Mr. Incognito, please feel free to share.
Yes.
Sorry, you were really quiet for me then. So I had a question which then developed into something else because of number 5, but basically just a little bit about me. I've got an anxiety disorder, so when I look into the future, I start to go into panic mode and I start to push everything away and I start to get distracted by loads of different things because deadlines don't work for me. However, having said that, having my girlfriend, for example, be the accountable person for me, I think might help. But having that side, what advice would you give to someone that does have anxiety? Because my kind of defense mechanism to deal with life is to push everything away right into the last minute. So if I have a job application, I'll do it the night before. If I've got an assignment that's due in, I'll do that the night before. Because if I think I've got a deadline to achieve, I won't sleep at night and I'll panic all the time, and it's not good for me, if that makes sense.
It does. It absolutely does. And I appreciate that question. And that's so important, right? Because each one of us have different degrees to which and ways that we handle things. And anyone with any sort of an anxiety disorder, my first piece of advice to you is that undeniably part of the reason that you may have that bit of an anxiety disorder, and there are a lot of things that factor into an anxiety disorder, so I'm not saying that other things don't also factor in, but one of the things that can be a major cause of that is ironically, the more we push things off, the more anxiety gets built up. Because even as you push something off, in your subconscious mind, part of what's going on in your mind is going, well, I know I'm just causing myself more pain in the long run.
Yeah.
Your subconscious is going, I know pushing this off is but it feels better right now, right? It feels better right now. So one of the things that I would recommend to you is this. It is very easy to feel overwhelmed when we look at our ever-growing things to-do list and we look ahead and we go, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff I have to get done. Where am I even going to start? I mean, and then we get into this incredible loop.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Can you still hear me, David?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Oh, good. Got me back.
Sometimes
okay.
if you don't hear somebody, then toggle the mic above the menu. That will help.
Okay,
perfect.
Sorry,
then it's your...
No worries. So one of the best things that you can do, I think, is when you're looking at your ever-growing things to-do list, and that can feel so overwhelming, seeing all this stuff, and boy, look at this, look what I have to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month. Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Why even bother, right? We all have those
exactly
moments. Exactly. So one of the things that really has helped me in that case is that I remember, and I remind myself daily, that this things to-do list is not stuff that has to all be done right now. I remember the principle of CANI, C-A-N-I, which stands for constant and never-ending improvement. Have you heard the phrase, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That might be an American thing. I don't know, but that's always been a phrase that I've found kind of funny and kind of gross at the same time. But it says kind of the best way to deal with this kind of sense of overwhelm is if you had to eat an elephant, you would look at that elephant and go, no way, man. There's no way I can eat that elephant. That's crazy. But if you thought, you know what? I don't have to eat that whole elephant today. I just have to take one bite out of it today. And you know what? After 100 or so days, I'm going to have eaten that whole elephant. So the more you can remember every day and just go, you know what? It's not about getting everything done today. It's about what pieces can I do today? Because if we remember constant, never-ending improvement, and we make it a goal to just take one step forward each day in these different areas of our lives that are important to us, then at the end of 1 week, you've taken 7 steps forward. At the end of a month, you've taken 30 steps forward. At the end of a year, 365 steps forward. But you never thought, if you thought about that back on day one and you thought, I got to take 365 steps, you'll get overwhelmed and kind of start to shut down. So really take a conscious effort of looking at, hey, I just got to take these little steps. And those little steps add up in immense ways. And anyone who has had a modicum of success in their lives will tell you that that has been part of why, is they really were able to manage that sense of just keep moving forward, constant and never-ending improvement every day. Does that kind of help a little bit?
It does, yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic, good. And you'll have days that are better than others too. You'll have days where that works really well for you. You'll have other days where it feels like it doesn't. Don't let those days get you down. Life is always a bit of a roller coaster, but if you stick to these principles, they will work for you way higher percentage of the time than on the days where for some reason it didn't work as well this day. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
We have 2 other questions.
Yes, go ahead, maybe Lucas. I see Lucas's hand up already.
Yes, Lucas, feel free to talk.
It's not a question. It's just a tip. Can I add this tip?
Absolutely, please do.
All right. I know that what working for me, not working with everyone, but I like it to share. Because one thing that's helped me a lot, it's about the planning. I wrote, I don't know if in English is this name, but like agenda in my calendar. When I wrote the things that I have to do next week, next month. And one thing that I suffer, it's in the end of the day, I think, man, I haven't add nothing to my life today. I feel that I'm not productive. So I initiate to, in the end of the day, before I sleep, I write what productive I do in this day. So I help my employers, I talk to this man, I do this thing. So when I write this, I have the feeling that, yeah, this day is productive. I just not remember. So this helped me a lot because I look at and I say, oh, I do a lot of things that is good for my life. But if I'm not writing, I just feel like I'm not doing anything. So this helped me a lot going this agenda. I don't know if this is the name in English. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. And you brought up one other thing that I should mention here that sparked for me. So that's a great thing, Lucas. I mean, that agenda of what you need to do over this, today and this week and next month helps you to kind of keep that bird's eye view so that you're not just looking at what has to be done today, but you're constantly looking at what things are coming down the line that can cause fires. But one other thing that you said that I really love, Lucas, is that you're reminding yourself on a regular basis of the things you are getting accomplished. And that is something we are not taught to do. We're not trained to do in society, is to remind ourselves of the successes that we've had. It's so easy for us to go, well, okay, I got that done. I got that accomplished. Okay, what's next? What's next? And we're always moving forward. So what I love about what you're doing, Lucas, and I do something very similar. I might do it a little bit differently than you do it, but I keep a list of things that I've accomplished that I'm proud of. Small things, big, it might be just little tiny, seemingly insignificant things, but I keep a small list of those things. So if I ever am having a day where I feel like I'm getting nothing accomplished, I'm not fulfilling my potential, I just don't feel like I'm very good at things or whatever it is, I'll pull out this list of things that I've accomplished and I'll just read over it. And I'll go, you know what? Look at this. Yeah, I did this thing. I did this thing. Some of those things might be a year or more old, and that's okay. But it constantly is reminding us of the things we are good at, the things, and what happens when we do accomplish the things that are on our things to do list. That feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of feeling good, that feeling of scratching something off the list and adding it to the list of things I'm proud that I've accomplished. For example, when I'm done here today, I'm going to add to that list that I got to have this conversation with all of you, that I got to be in here in virtual reality and have a conversation with people about how to be more, how to tame the beast of procrastination. And that helps me feel better. And believe me, nothing helps you to learn how to do something better than by teaching it. This today is reminding me of things that maybe I'm not doing as regularly as I should. You know, I'm looking at number 5 on that list, and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe it's time for me to have a little bit of an accountability thing with some people. I'm part of a writers group that gets together every week. And that's one of the things that's so powerful about that writers group, is that we are constantly pushing each other to make sure we're doing our writing each week. Because I know I'm going to have a Thursday night meeting with that writers group, and they're going to ask me, hey, Todd, how's your writing going? What'd you get done on that screenplay you're working on? And I'm going to do the same for them. Hey, how's this novel going that you're working on, and so forth. So that's a great point, Lucas, and make sure that you are keeping a list of the things that you're proud of that you've gotten accomplished. When you get something done, don't just cross it off your things to do list, which is important and feels really good because you know you got to accomplish. But now write just a really quick sentence or a bullet point on your proud of list that says you did this thing, and keep that so you can look at it constantly. Great point. Any other questions or comments, Dana?
Yes. Sudhaka, please feel free to ask a question. Sudhaka, maybe can you accept the mic? Yeah.
There you go. Oh, I'm not hearing you at the moment. You are showing it's unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Try again, Sudhaka. Maybe it was an accident, Todd. So
that might be. Okay, we'll come back to you if you raise your hand again. We'll come back to you. Any other questions or comments at the moment?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. So with that, because we're coming up to the end here, where we'll kind of now we can stick around here and we can talk a little bit more about some more of this stuff. But the key things to keep in mind are that you are the person that's going to be driving this. I want to mention one other thing that I mentioned on one of my previous programs that will help apply to procrastination a lot, and that is, again, taking charge of how you start your day. How you start your day every morning is paramount to how you feel throughout the rest of the day. I like to think of it as, you know, you've got a computer, and when you turn that computer on and boot it up first thing in the morning, the first thing that computer has to load into its system before it can be effective and get anything else done is it has to load the operating system. It has to load the program that tells the computer how to deal with all the other programs. And if it doesn't upload the proper operating system at the beginning of the day, that computer is going to be useless the rest of the day. So I like to think of what I call PTS time, PTS, as the operating system for our brain. If you do PTS time first thing in the morning, every morning, you got to do it first thing in the morning, because it's like booting up your computer. It's uploading the proper operating system into your brain. It's going to help you deal with challenges and deal with procrastination throughout the day so much better. And what PTS time is, it stands for planning, thinking, and study time. That's what PTS time is, planning, thinking, and study time, where you take about 30 to 45 minutes each morning and you do a little bit of planning, a little bit of thinking, and a little bit of studying. And what that does is it programs your brain to be much more successful. Now, I don't know if the recordings of the previous programs are available online still to people, Dana, but if they are, I encourage you to go and watch one from, I think it was just a couple months ago, where we talked about PTS time and how you program your brain for success. And if you want some more details on PTS time, hang around afterward for a few minutes. I can stick around until about 1 o'clock, so for about another 10 minutes, and I can give you some more specifics on PTS time. But if you take that time in the morning to plan out your day, to think a little bit about the big picture of what you want from your life, what your goals are, and are you getting closer to achieving those goals, or are you getting a little further away from some of them? And you just do that for about 10 minutes. And then study time, which is a time for you to read something that motivates and energizes you. Something that makes you feel positive after you're done reading it and feeling like you can accomplish stuff today. That will put the proper operating system into your brain so you are much more prepared to deal with any challenges, roadblocks, or detours that might come up that will try to throw you off from getting things done the way you would plan on getting them done. Okay? So with that, I want to thank all of you for being here. I will stick around for another 10 minutes. I know Dana's got a couple things she's going to want to do as well before you leave. to answer any questions that you might have. But I want to thank you again for taking the time to be here. I hope this was helpful to all of you. And I want you to give yourselves a round of applause as well, because you took time to be here today, and that means a lot to me. So thank you so much.
Great. So thank you so much for giving this talk, Todd Lewis, because this was really great. And always I like the PTS time. It's really useful. I heard it now a couple of times, and it's always really good to remember that, to go more into depth with that. So thank you so much for doing that. And people, I sent you all a message, and in this message you have access to the YouTube channel of CaptainVR, so you can see the videos that are getting uploaded there about these talks. And also what we do is setting up group Facebook channel where people can just come and share messages and knowledge also about these topics. And also we as speakers and hosts and organizers will have information on this board or agenda to keep you informed on all future events. So thank you so much for coming here. We always have time for questions now, of course. So if there is any people with any questions now more for Todd, Piano Man, please feel free to answer or ask your question, I mean. Yes?
Hello,
Please?
can you hear me?
Yes. Sure can.
We couldn't really hear what you were saying because you were really quiet. I don't think you had the mic thing turned on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did have it selected, the amplify my voice, so that's strange. I'm sorry you couldn't hear very
Donna,
well. Can you hear me okay now?
I know I can hear you perfect. Just Donna was very quiet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh, sorry.
Just to let you know, okay. Did other people not hear anything she said too? Just to let you know that. I don't know if anyone heard anything.
I can hear her.
Yeah, I thought I was on megaphone. But thank you for telling me. Thank you. Great. Shall I repeat
And
it?
I have to say, Piano Man, I really dig the hair. That is awesome hair. I love that. I want that hair in real life.
Thank you.
Truly do. I don't have enough of it, so I don't think I could do that, but that's really cool. Looks like we got a question here from Mr. Incognito.
Yeah, I just want to know more about what you were going to talk about, you know, how to get yourself prepared in the morning. I was a bit interested in that.
Absolutely. So what I do is I do that PTS time first thing when I wake up in the morning. So, I'll get up, I'll use the restroom, I'll get something to drink, brush my teeth, whatever. But before I do anything else, no answering emails, no going into work, whatever, I will spend between a half hour and 45 minutes doing that PTS time. So what that did mean for me is, I meant I did have to get up about a half hour earlier than normal so that I had that time. And what's really important is if you have a family, if you have any other responsibilities that come up in the morning before you really start your day, you need to make sure that you can do that PTS time in a place where you can have peace and quiet, where you can be kind of uninterrupted so you can focus on that. And sometimes you do have to kind of let your family know, hey, I'm doing something different this week. I'm going to get up a half an hour earlier to do this important PTS time. I just have to ask you if you can try not to interrupt me that first half hour of the morning, but as soon as I'm done with my PTS time, I will come out and we'll have breakfast and we'll talk a little bit and do our thing. As you start to educate your family members and other people that are in your life that you're doing these things, they will totally be supportive of that and understand, especially if you let them know why you're doing that and that you're going to get up a half hour earlier so it doesn't impact them. But just understand, if you hear me up a half hour early, that's why I'm doing it, and just try to give me that half hour to focus on that PTS time, and then I'm all yours. Cool. All right. So yeah, for more information on PTS time, you can go to that YouTube channel, watch one of my previous videos where we talk a little bit more in detail about it. But it's really important that you do all three of those things each day: planning, thinking, and study time, and that you try to devote an equal amount of time to each one of those. Otherwise, we can end up spending the whole time just planning, and we haven't done any of the thinking or the motivation or study time. All of those are really important because they factor into that operating system of our brain. Cool. All right. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, thanks for that question, Incognito.
No, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that was Mr. Incognito. Piano Man, please feel free to talk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. What's the YouTube channel?
Yes, the YouTube channel is a CaptainVR YouTube channel. I just explained that this is what you did not hear. The YouTube channel, we are going to every recordings we do. So we record the session, we're gonna put it on there, so you can always look at it back. But we also put stuff on there what has to do with coaching and personal development and VR. So it's a VR coaching and personal development YouTube channel with all sorts of videos. So feel free to check that out, but also please keep on keep focused on
You're really,
how
I'm sorry, you're really quiet. I can't really hear anything you're saying. Is it just me?
Really, I'm on megaphone
I feel like
actually,
it's
so
just
I'm
me.
not sure. Is it
That is
everybody?
strange.
So, yeah, I'm on
here.
megaphone. Lucas?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm here.
Okay. I don't
Okay.
know what's wrong with me. Todd, can you just tell me the YouTube channel? That's okay.
Actually, Dana, can you put that in the chat again?
Yeah,
It should
yeah,
pop
yeah.
up for you, and then you can just click on it, or you can copy it down because it's a pretty long channel name. But Dana's going to have that.
Okay.
It should pop up for you.
Okay. Look out for now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for inquiring about it. I appreciate that. And yeah, there's a lot of great stuff on there, so I would strongly recommend you check that out.
Cool.
All right. Well, we got about 4 minutes left. If there are any other questions or anything else that you want to do, Dana, before we wrap up.
Yes, we want to have a selfie with everybody in it. So please come forward to the stage, everyone.
Sure.
So we're going to stand
Come on
next
up here.
to Todd and have a selfie with him. A group selfie. We'd like to do that after every session. So please come.
Yeah, come on up. And I think Piano or Lucas, I think you might have had another question. We'll get to that in a second.
You have to. You have to repeat after me, Todd.
I can find you in LinkedIn.
Oh, and LinkedIn. You know what? I am not on LinkedIn as of yet, which has been kind of purposeful because I'm trying to cut down on a number of the things that I'm doing so I can focus more on some of these specific things. But before you leave, let me give you I'll give you my email address. And if you have any questions or follow-ups like that, I'll do that with anyone that would like it. Feel free to email me anytime. I am happy to answer any questions or follow-ups that you might have there as well. But I may be getting back on LinkedIn at some point because more and more people are requesting that now. So I may get back on there.
No worries.
Cool. All right. Anyone else want to be in the photo? Feel free to come up. Don't be shy.
Yes, come. Piano
up on the stage.
Piano man, come.
I want the guy with the cool hat, Neptune Terry. I want Neptune Terry. That hat is fantastic. Come on up here.
Thank you.
What are we doing?
Yeah. We're gonna do a
picture.
photograph of all of us on the stage together.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Love it.
And give us some love and smileys. Yes.
Woohoo.
Yoo-hoo. Say cheese.
Say cheese. Nice.
Please.
Now I'm hungry for
thank
cheese.
Come to Holland. We have a lot of cheese.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Love it.
So
All
thank
right.
you so much, everybody, for doing this, for being here, for being our guests. And everybody, also please give a big hand again to Todd Lewis, amazing
Thank
speaker.
you, everyone.
He will do this every month. Todd will give us a session. And also please give a big hand to Jason Wan, he's recording the session, and Cindy van Zanen, she is the moderator. We always love to do this and have a perfect space or interactive space for people to come together and join forces. So thank you for being here. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. Then we have another session, a meditation session with Frank Roth. And he's giving stress management and vitality meditations. So please feel free to come also. Yes.
Yep.
Same
and
time.
I do a different program each month, as Dana mentioned. So it'll be a different program at the beginning of next month on the first Thursday. And I am actually sending to all. You hopefully just received my email address. So if you want to follow up with anything, have any questions or anything like that, that is my email address, toddlewisgr@gmail.com. Pretty super simple. Please feel free to reach out. I want to be here to help you in any way that I can. And have a great rest of your week and stay safe and healthy wherever you are in the world. Sending you all great thoughts.
Thank you. And Lucas, if you have a question, you can still